Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Oh, Zune, you can carry a tune better than me. This is the Zune from the infamous Zune iPod Paris Hilton parody video that I did with Ponzi earlier in 2007. I keep forgetting it's 2008 now. Zune is a good device. It's a solid device, and I get emails on a regular basis from people asking whether or not they should buy an iPod or a Zune. And to me, the answer is, well, iPhone, largely because I only want to carry one device with me, and the Zune does not yet have hello. Well, you can do this with your Zune. Unfortunately, it's not going to talk back. The Zune is a good device. If you're thinking about getting a Zune for all the reasons you want one, I fully endorse it. Especially now that they've added new features with some updated firmware. What I've got in front of me now is a piece of paper. No, it's not just that. It's a top 5 list as submitted by someone who I likely have met before, although it may have been a few years since we've last talked to one another. Jeremy, who lives in Iowa, central Iowa. And Jeremy writes, Chris, I watched the new online show just fairly recently. I've been to the first few Gnome Dexes when they were in Iowa, and Gnome Dex is still the name of my conference, now going into its 8th year. Well, on to the message, that the reason why I'm writing you today. I recently got a Zune for myself last year, and I love it, and I wanted to pass along a few things for other people to consider when they are thinking about getting a Zune. All right, the top 5 for the Zune. All right, and this is kind of a general list. If you know the reasons why you'd want to get a Zune. Number 5, FM radio, and you don't need any fancy attachments. Not many other media players have this feature, but it's a good idea to have if you want to listen to your favorite radio station, news, etc., or if you just don't want to listen to anything on your Zune. It's also possible to use this to listen to other people using their Zune and an FM broadcaster connected to it. Number 4, podcasts. Now, I wasn't much into podcasts before this last major firmware update and the new release of the Zune 2s. But with the new feature, I've been working on finding good podcasts to listen to when I work. And with the Zune software, you can customize your podcast subscriptions and auto-sync the most current ones. Or if you want to listen to old ones, if you're new to that podcast, start at the beginning. Fair enough. And just so you know, the videos that we record are available in the Zune podcast marketplace. Number 3, Wi-Fi and syncing. With the new firmware and hardware came Wi-Fi syncing. Now, there's a misnomer that you have to connect your Zune to a computer to Wi-Fi sync, but that's only to set up the synchronization process. After that, if you have your Zune software running in a wireless router, then you can sync anywhere as long as you're within the range of that router. The Wi-Fi includes the so-called squirting, and that's the sharing of songs with other Zune users in person, and that you can do with the 3-day being removed and replaced with a 3-play. And that's a DRM that Microsoft imposes upon the media that's shared, so that it's no longer just 3-day, it's 3-play. It makes sense. I'm still not a fan of DRM. Number 2, video. Even though the screen may be small, it works for watching videos and even DVD movies which you've ripped from ones you own. And it's possible to do and keep the quality you want for a small screen. Or, if you have a Zune 80, you can have a slightly higher resolution. Another feature that I would put under video is a slideshow feature with pictures that you can add a music playlist to. You can use something like this for a wedding reception or a graduation party. Number 1, firmware updates. Firmware updates? Well, the reason being is that other MP3 and media players only give you the firmware that it's released with, kind of leaving you to your own devices, so to speak, when it comes to updating firmware or making you aware that there are new firmware revisions available for your device. But with the Zune, there's updated features and bug fixes regularly, just as the latest major update added podcast and Wi-Fi syncing, and the last minor update fixed battery saving issues. New features are probably a little bit down the road, but they've been pretty good so far. And that's the one thing I got to give Microsoft huge credit for. The Zune is a good, solid device, and the way that they've decided to go about the firmware revisions, they've made them backwards compatible. So the firmware and the features that they've given next-gen devices are also backwards compatible with the first-generation Zune. And I thought that was very friendly to the community, which is crucial. The Zune needs community. It needs a brand, and commercials on television just ain't going to do it. But to me, again, it's all about this. It's all about the communication aspect of the Zune. It's not just squirting things back and forth. That's the one thing that I think is going to hold it back. The second thing that's going to hold it back is games. And I think if maybe the Zune 3 or future firmware revision supports gaming, you're going to see a very interesting thing happen. A lot of Xbox users will be able to likely take their characters away from their Xbox or their Windows desktop, the games for Windows platform, and bring them to their mobile device. Imagine being able to rack up, points and to generate, build characters, generate, what do they call them? What are the points in Microsoft points? But what are they called? Achievements. Sorry, it's been about 2 hours since I last played my Xbox, but it's been forever since I got an achievement. Any old way, the Zune, it is a good buy, but if you're looking to me to give you advice on which you should buy, a Zune or an iPod, I'm not going to tell you. Either way, look on tagjag.com for the latest coupons. That's tagjag.com. Thank you again, Jeremy. Hopefully our paths will cross, if not digitally, then certainly in person at some point in the future. Now, if anybody else out there has top 5 tips, I'd love to share them with the rest of the community, especially if they're written very well. It doesn't matter what you have a top 5 list about, whether it's about the Zune, the iPod, the iPhone, portable media devices. Maybe you have a top 5 list that has nothing to do with technology at all. Maybe it has to do with just music or just video. I'll take any kind of top list you've got to throw at me and share it with the rest of the community. And my email address, again, is, oh, that's right, Tall Guy's got it, chris@pirillo.com. Now, did you notice how I called out his name? Because it was down here. That's our live chat, because we're streaming live video and audio on the internet right now. We do that when we record videos. We do it live, but not just when we record videos. We do it live all the time. And we're typically talking tech. This is the chat room, and you can join the chat room, and you can join me and have this conversation that is going and going and going and going and going and going, and all you got to do is just open up your web browser and go to one website, and that's live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.